everybody? Cinephile Mike here, your friendly neighborhood cinephile, with day 54 of Award Season Review Season 2's. It is the penultimate day of Razzie's week. For the next 2 days, I am paying homage to action star Jason Statham, because unfortunately, 3 of his 4 films released in 2023 landed on the Razzie nomination list this year. The only film that survived the list was the rather enjoyable Operation Fortune Rue de Guerre, which came out in March of 2023. The other 3 films he released, all of which have varied Razzie nods, are Fast X, which I will not be reviewing in this set unless I cover more Razzies, Expendables 4, which I will be wrapping with tomorrow, as it is the most nominated film at the Razzies this year, and today's, which is The Meg 2, The Trench. I have my blue on. I'm ready for my water blue to dive right in. And here it is. Written by Joe Hober, Eric Hober, and Dean Georgaris, who also wrote the first film based on the novel by Steve Alton, and this time directed by Ben Wheatley, who took the reins from John Turteltaub, who directed the first film. This film was a moderate box office success. While it didn't beat the first film's $529,338,515 full on take, it did turn its profit. Meg 2 had a worldwide box office take of $397,700,317. $82,600,317 came from the domestic box office, and the remaining $315,100,000 came from the international box office. Now, in total, The Meg to The Trench has been nominated for 3 Razzies, one for each of the Megs in the film. It was nominated for Worst Picture, Worst Director, and Worst Actor in Jason Statham. No other awards to speak of, so again, let's dive in. Sorry, I can't help myself. So, picking up 8 years after the events of the first film, Jonas, our Green Avenger, is back fighting eco-terrorists and also working on Mano 1, the marine biology lab located in the Mariana Trench, where the megalodons from the first movie came from. Now, here, in the time that passed, he is raising Mei Ying, the young girl from the first film, alongside her uncle, as we aren't sure why, but her mother did pass between the events of the first film and the second film. Now, while working here with a new team at Mano 1, they have new technology that they have created to reach the thermocline and go even deeper into the trench to study the marine life down there, because that worked out so well for them in the first film. I mean, what could go wrong? Seriously. Through a series of events without spoiling too much, not one, not two, but there are 3 featured Megs in this film, and some other interesting creatures that come forth through the thermocline. So this would be enough to drive the film, right? Well, not entirely. Uh, so not only do we have the man versus nature conflict of, our team versus the Megs and the other sea creatures, but additionally, Jonas's team is going to have to deal with malicious intent from some aboard Mano 1. Some people may not have the noblest of intentions of why things are happening, so now we get 2 conflicts that we have to follow. Second movie, 2 conflicts. Well, you know, maybe a little bit too much, and while this isn't as solid as the first film, I mean, the sequel does more than just mimic what they did in the first one. The action sequences are actually quite entertaining and even had some interesting jump scare moments. Maybe this kind of biases my review a little bit, but when I did see this film over the summer, I got to see it in 4DX. So having the experience of my seat rocking around and the water spritzing and the 3D objects flying at my face. I mean, it was a lot of fun. It was like one of those fun throwback summer action movies. But then I did do a rewatch to see if it would hold up without all the extras, and it does. There was still some entertainment. Statham turns in a performance similar to what we know and love him for in most of his films. The man willing to jump into danger, but not before he throws a sarcastic quip or a comment. And, this is kind of who he is. Most of his characters are interchangeable. So, his worst actor nomination is not really warranted here. And additionally, the film being nominated for Worst Picture, there are worse here. So I don't know if I would put Meg 2 in the category. However, the one that I may say might be warranted is Wheatley for worst director. Now, the cast, not the whole returning cast, because most did not come back, but the ones that did, including Statham, Sophia Kai as Mei Ying, the child actress now a little older, Cliff Curtis and Paige Kennedy as Mac and DJ, respectively, they maintain the characters and bring back the same energy, so they're enjoyable to watch. And some of the others on the team, such as Melissanthi Mahut as Regis and Jing Wu as Xiao Ming, are fine. However, when it comes to directing some of the sequences with some of the other characters and the villains, there's a bit of a disconnect. So maybe that is where the story kind of flounders a little bit. A little more attention could have been paid there, so you kind of have to fault Wheatley for that one just a little bit. Um, and also, I would also say there are a few worst supporting performances, but I won't reference who I think they are because I don't want to spoil the film. Needless to say, the Meg 2 could have been a lot worse. In my opinion, look, it's a fun action film with some good visual effects. It moves quickly, it doesn't drag, and it follows the formula of the first one and worked for a reason. I mean, it's never going to replace Jaws as the great shark film, but it deserves its place amongst, the films of man versus sharks. I mean, for me, it's a fun film. The Meg 2, The Trench, it's a two-star film. It's not, an Oscar caliber pick, but it's a fun action pick, game cast, fun visuals. If you would like to catch the Meg 2 The Trench, it is streaming both on Netflix and on Max. Also, if you haven't seen the first film, you don't really need to appreciate this one, but there are some good in-jokes, so it's good if you've seen the first one. So if you need to see the first Meg film, if I've inspired you to do so, that film is streaming on Netflix as well. As always, if you like what you heard here, please subscribe to the channel and continue spreading the word. We're going to be moving on to some new themes this week and getting back to some of the award season fare. You can follow me, Cinephile Mike, on all social media platforms and Letterboxd. And I will see everyone tomorrow as we cover the other Statham flick that will wrap Razzie's week, The Expendables 4, where he moves from being the second billed performer under Stallone to the top spot. Until then, this is Cinephile Mike saying take a break and watch something new.